right, just a couple things because I may have, no, I didn't, not that I may have, I misspoke. So let's just talk about where I did misspeak. Couple things, all right. First of all, again, I want to make sure that people hear this. Zane had asked a question. We could leave this off and just say catch exception. You can have all sorts of exceptions. I literally could have catch statements for lots of different exceptions, but I have to put the most specific first, going down to the most general. All right. Otherwise, the system won't like it. In fact, I think it'll give you a mistake if I had like exception above this. Let's try it. I'll just grab all this code that we've got right here. I'm going to paste it in, and I'm going to leave out the illegal arguments. So I'm going to do it like that. All right. Notice there is an error. Cannot be resolved to a type. Oh, because I wanted to see exception, not argument exception. Unreachable catch block. See, it's saying that there's one before it that's more general. You can never hit that block. So the system is basically, it's saying I can't reach this block, so I'm going to flag it as an error. All right. Now, if I reverse these, now it has no problem because I've got the more specific error first. All right, so that's the first thing. A couple more things. John mentioned, and he was right, that when I said something before, let's see, I misspoke. And that is, that's private double scores. All right, and there, that is scores. That's the same one. That scores right there is the same one that's right there. All right. But it says create a local array to hold the scores that are passed in. It's not a good comment. We are creating an array right there. All we're doing is we're making sure here we're not giving it a size. Now we know the size of the array. That's all. But it is the same variable. Yes, sure. But the problem with that is that you can always say this dot in front of just about anything, and it's you know, I think if I do this, you know, in that loop, I didn't like that. But I know that I've stuck it, you know, purposely in a few places. I put the this dot just to see what had happened. Normally, and the other day in the C class when I told you that I couldn't reproduce an error, well, I found ways yesterday. All right, yeah, I found we had really weird output on a few things that I did. So, all right. So that was the first one. Now for the second one, what I ended up doing was I ended up copying test scores. I created test scores 2.java and copied in everything from test scores 1, but just changed the test scores 1 to a test scores 2. And I did the same thing with a demo. Does all that make sense? All right. So I'm going to show you here the custom exception. But taking it from the top here, I'm kind of walking my way through it to see if anything else has changed. I don't think anything has. I put the right comment there. Notice write an exception class. We're going to have a file called invalidtestscore.java that we're going to write in just a minute. It's a very short file, but we're going to write it anyway. All right, and that'll be our own exception. All right, but in here, so I've got that comment in there. And I'm just checking private double scores, same thing, same thing, same thing. Now, what we want to throw here, right there, is we're going to change this because we want to throw our own exception. All right. Previously, when we did this, we threw an existing Java exception. Now we want to throw our own exception. So I'm going to throw a new invalid. Right now it's going to give me an error, but we'll get it fixed. So I'm going to invalid test score, ISI. All right, and it's giving me that right now. It's giving me that error because it says there's no exception called invalid test score because that's what we're going to put in here, and that file is empty. So as soon as we put the exception in, that error will go away. All right. And the reason behind going through both these assignments with you is my rationale behind it was this, that sometimes those Java exceptions will handle the bill. Sometimes they're just so generically written that you've got an error and, you know, it's like, I don't understand. It would be nice if I had a better explanation of what the error was. Well, then you have to write your own. All right. So we're going to get to that in just a second. So that one I think now is done, but again, we'll have to fix that in just a minute. Looks correct to me. All right. The demo is here. Test scores 2. Question? Oh, okay. Test scores 2 demo. I think that's going to be the same. Bad scores, good scores, etc., etc. All that stuff is the exact same as before. What's new now is going to be this file. And I'll write this and I'll put this up here. So if you want to copy this one down, feel free to. All right. And this will be user defined exception. Java exception. All right. So that's what I'm going to write right now. It's not very long. And I'm going to let you call this 2 different ways. You can either call it passing nothing in, or you can call it passing in 2 parameters like I just did. All right? And so you say, well, what's the difference? That's what I want to show you. So the first one, I'm going to just put a comment here that says no arg constructor. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to say super. And again, this might not make a whole heck of a lot of sense until we go over it on Thursday. You know what super does, though. What that means is automatically when we create this right here, this extends. Anybody want to guess? What? No. Somebody started saying it. Any user-defined exception has to extend the existing Java exception class. All right, so that's what we just told it right there. So by saying super invalid test score like this and putting the parenthesis and then the semicolon, by doing that, what that's saying is call the constructor for exception, just in case there's anything that has to be done. And it's important that you understand the idea of super. Because when we get into the Objective-C, or the Android and the Objective-C stuff, they call super all the time. And basically all you're doing is you're playing a game of CYA. You're saying, hey, I'm trying to cover my butt here, so call the parent, just in case there's anything I didn't handle. All right, so this constructor reports the element number of the array containing the invalid score and the value stored at that element. Cheat a little bit here, grab that, and just make some changes to it. Why am I getting that? Because the method signatures are the same. There are no parameters inside of either one of those, so the system has no way of differentiating between the 2 of them. As soon as I come in here and I type in int x, for example, all right, it goes away, because now they aren't the same. No. The question was, when you're calling super, what you're doing is you're saying, go up the chain and call the constructor for a regular exception. And the reason that you might have to do that is it's possible that there's something up the chain that needs something that you've already done. In other words, you can have an exception hierarchy just like you have an inheritance hierarchy. You can do that kind of thing. So you might define something in a parent, then you could extend that parent for a child, and then you'd say super, you'd have it call the parent, just in case it needed something. So we're going to have the element number and the score. Why? So now we can say, we can be a little bit more specific. Element, very similar to what we saw before, plus element plus invalid score plus score. Now, let me see if I made any mistakes. All right, I hope I didn't, but we'll find out. So I'm going to go back. It looks like test scores 2 Java. Throw a new invalid test score. It still doesn't like something. Add throws declaration. Up on top. Throws. Yeah, doesn't throw that anymore, does it? I love that when I can make mistakes accidentally and they're things I should have actually told you about. So that should say invalid test score. All right. And really, to be honest with you, what I really should have done there, I didn't. I'm looking at my own notes here. But what I really should have done right here is instead of calling that invalid test score like that, that really should have been called invalid test score exception. Because the recommendation by Java is when you do this stuff, all right, when you create this, you always have that say exception on it. Now I can do that. I can say exception right here, all right, which means that I also have to say it right here, all right. But then I have to go into here, and where I've got this, I'm going to have to make changes in there also and change the name, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But again, what I should have done that is what I'm telling you. I should have. I didn't, but I should have tacked the word exception on there. And that's something that Java recommends, that you always have the word exception at the end of your exceptions. All right. If nothing else, it sends not a subliminal, but just a conscious message to who's ever running your program. Hey, something's hosed here. Something here, so this is the demo. And throws declaration. Throws in, oh, okay. Yep, you're right. So let's get rid of what we had just put in there. So now we're not catching it. See that? This right here, thank you, John, this should have said invalid test score. Now it went away. See, Eclipse tried to fix it, but I gave it the right, I had the right problem, but I gave it the wrong fix. All right, now I believe at least everything is okay, but we're going to check it. Still isn't like something. Same thing here. All right, so go back to, we're at the demo. Let's run it. Now, just so you see this, okay? This looks very similar to what you saw before. I understand that. But remember, now it is totally legit when I call this from the demo. Where is that? I could have just called it like this. And I'm not going to get any errors. I'm going to run it, but notice when we run it, notice the output. Invalid score found. That's not really very reflective. If somebody's looking at it, you want to try to give them, you know, when the reason you'll have an exception like this is not only do you want to let them know there's a problem, but ideally you want to point out to them where the problem is. All right. So although that works okay, and it's covered my ass again, pardon my French, but again, I really should have come back in here and put in what we had, because as you saw right here, just saying invalid score found, it's not nearly as nice as saying invalid score found and letting them know where it was found and what the element was. All right. So again, you are the one in control when you create your own, when you go in there and you create your own exceptions as far as what you want them to say, as far as what you want to be able to have passed in for parameters, etc. All right. So let me do a close all on this. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the folder that has that in there. As soon as I can, there, advanced Java. So there's, that's not good. It is, I thought that's where I saved it. Well, that's some of the stuff. I'm going to have to find out where I saved those, but I will. And once I find them, test scores demo, test score 2 demo. It's there. I just have to find out source edu. dog, J. Scott. I thought that when I created this, I put it in the same area, but I may not have. So what I'll have to do a close all, is I have to go through here and grab all the information that's in here and in here. And I'll do that right now. All right. So I think I saved it wrong in my quest for trying to get this stuff done as fast as I could. But we'll get it. And if nothing else, what I'll do is I'll print out these 2 files and those 3 files. And I'll put those out there so you'll have them. All right. So I should be able to do that right now. Just grab these 2, these 3. Let me do a regular copy. Does it want me to edit? No. I can do it that way. So I'll have to do them one at a time. That's fine. All right. So I'll make a folder with today's date on it, 09-02-2014, and I'll find all those files and individually copy them all over right now. Okay, so that's got all 5 of the files that I went over today. So I'm going to grab that, copy, and throw it onto the P drive for the class, and under the in-class folder, there you go. All right, so you'll have to massage it and put it where it should go, but you should be able to open it up and nothing else in Notepad++, just copy all the stuff that's in there and throw it in. All right. If you want, if people want, I can run hard copies if you think. Would that help? Yes? How many people would like a hard copy? All right. How many people don't want a hard copy? It's Chicago. You can vote twice.